And I'm back in the room. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show where I talk about movies. And today I'm going to be talking about some movies that exist and some that ultra don't. I should have scripted this intro, but hey, that breaks the immersion. I can't be fake for you guys. As you saw from the title and the thumbnail, I'm going to be talking about why Superman will never make a good movie. He's never going to be the hero to use for a good superhero film. And you probably won't agree with me unless I explain myself, so I should probably get to that. Superman is a boring character. And when I say he's a boring character, I mean he's so powerful, hardly anything could ever pose a threat. If it's not kryptonite or magic, then the only way you're going to defeat him is by being plain stronger than him. And nobody really wants to watch a punch fest between him and some giant interchangeable monster. Mongol, Darkseid, which should have been Steppenwolf, or Doomsday. The thing that we want to see is Superman have to struggle to overcome his enemy. That's what we want to see with every single superhero movie. No movie should take place around a hero that can just kind of kick his villain and now he wins. That's not how you create tension. That's not how you create a feeling of dread for the character, because no matter what, he's going to make it through okay. With Superman, you're going to have to take a different approach. Because there's nothing that can pose an interesting threat physically, we're going to have to make his journey something that doesn't just end in a slugfest between him and some other type of creature. What we're going to need, in specific actually, something that challenges his mind and his heart. If you have him try to overcome some sort of test of wills, something like that, or some sort of brain puzzle for the fate of the universe against Brainiac, have him face a moral conundrum that was tossed upon him by Lex Luthor. Superman isn't a character that I want to see go punching people, because it's just not interesting anymore. Superhero movies are in a weird state of flux where they sometimes understand that the end result doesn't always have to be a punching competition, and sometimes they think that that's exactly how things need to go. In Batman vs. Superman, the conflict was not a result of the story. The entire story exists to make Batman and Superman eventually fight, stop fighting, team up, and fight Doomsday. But that could have worked if they fleshed out a decent enough story. What they ended up doing was coming up with new weird details about the way that Batman and Superman both operate to get them to artificially hate each other. Batman has never branded criminals, especially the sex offender criminals, in any Batman comic I've ever read. Superman has never been such an apprehensive, threatening type of character that'll show up in Batman's face and say, "The bat is dead, bury it." That's a threat. Superman should never say, "I'll take you in without breaking you," which is more than you deserve. Am I supposed to applaud Superman for deciding not to break a mere mortal into multiple pieces? I mean, I feel like I shouldn't have to. That's just how Superman works. Not to compare Marvel to DC, but in Captain America Civil War, the conflict was a result of the story that was being told surrounding Captain America and Iron Man. And the story took details about these characters that we already had and pushed them forward. These people were somewhat the exact same people that we saw a year prior in Avengers Age of Ultron. They were just in a new situation now. Things about them weren't augmented from the previous movies or from the comics just to make this story make sense. Those characters are who they've always been. There's sirens happening right now. What we need to see from Superman is not, am I powerful enough physically to out-muscle my enemy? Because of course he is. What he needs to do is be a flawed character. He needs to have a journey of self-completion on his way to defeating whatever enemy he's up against, which is why I think in the next Superman film, he shouldn't be up against somebody else from Krypton or something like that, because he's fought Zod twice now, and then he fought a new god. So it was like, I don't know, maybe come up with something a little bit original. Have this character have some actual flaws. And before you say it in the comments, no, snapping Zod's neck is not a flaw of the character, it's a flaw of the writing. You can write a fight to where that doesn't happen. If you want Superman to, if you go into writing the script wanting Superman to kill the bad guy, then no matter what happens in the fight, you're inevitably going to end up in a position where Superman is going to kill Zod. You don't have to write it like that. You shouldn't write it like that. Superman should never show up and then kill his very first enemy. Superman shouldn't kill any of his enemies. No comic I've read that was well written revolves around Superman killing anybody. He doesn't even kill Darkseid. And I don't want to hear your excuse of, oh, he had no choice, Zod was going to kill that family. You didn't have to write a family. You didn't have to write that sort of fight with Zod. It could have been a moral thing. It's like, I'm going to destroy your planet, to rebuild Krypton. And you have to find some way to stop me that doesn't involve me kicking you around for a good 15 minutes and destroying half of Metropolis, which is what causes Batman to want to do the exact same thing to you in the next movie. It feels very artificial when you're watching on screen through a critical eye like I always do. If you're watching just for the purpose of having fun, well, you're probably still not going to be having fun because Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman drag on quite a bit in the storytelling, all to get you to this fight that you're expecting to happen and goes down exactly how you thought it would. Now, I'm not going to say that the third act can't be a little bit predictable and also still be exciting. That happens all the time. Avengers Infinity War, a lot of us knew Thanos was going to get all 6 of the stones, but it was still a marvel to watch that happen. Well, there I go using the word marvel. But the thing that you have to do is strike a balance between interesting and correct. You can't have the bad guy win all the time. And we know that. We know that we're not going to go into a Superman movie and see Superman get kicked around unless it's Batman versus Superman. And even then, when we knew it was going to happen, it could have still been interesting to see. Superman could have put up a fight. But they can't seem to figure out how to create a story around Superman that gets him from the beginning point to the end point where there is a satisfying climax and falling action that doesn't involve him slamming into something with the full might of Zeus. It's really annoying to watch. And if I'm going to propose to you an idea for a good Superman movie, it would have to be use the Toymaker. Nobody ever thinks about Toymaker, which is exactly why he seems perfect for this position. Have him come up with something that threatens the world, but is also easily exploitable. And he doesn't build himself a mech suit, even though he could, because he doesn't plan on confronting Superman alone. In fact, what he wants Superman to do is offer himself up, and then he'll spare the world. Superman goes to do that, and he realizes that if he does, it doesn't make a difference. Somebody else is just going to rise up and be a threat, and he's not going to be there to protect the people anymore. So what does he do? He figures out some other way to get Toymaker to back down. And then maybe something goes wrong, and then he goes and he uses his physical muscles to stop like a bomb from exploding or something like that. Then you have an interesting story that challenges Superman's mind and his heart and his courage, other than how hard can he flex his bicep? Because that sort of formulaic storytelling just isn't what we want to see these days. I don't think anybody is going into these movies hoping that that's what they get more of. I know I'm certainly not. But if I know anything about Warner, and I think I do after recent events, I know that they're going to play it way too safe to ever take a risk like what I've just proposed to you. So until such time as they grow up, Superman movies are going to be stale and boring and repetitive and ultimately dull, very forgettable. And unfortunately, that's just how it's going to be for a while, probably until they reset the DCEU. But that's just my opinion on Superman and why his movies just really aren't that good. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe if you're new.